looked at my right hand, and I had electrodes and tubes and all this stuff, and looked at my left hand, there's nothing. So the goal was reach down, grab my quad, pull my, and I couldn't feel the touch of my hand.
Dang.
And my leg was so cold and so rubbery.
You know, I think the worse your diet is, the more likely you are to need deodorant. The more you use it, the more you need it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. So you eat onions, you eat my favorite garlic, something like that. You're going to smell like that.
See, and I don't eat any of that. I used to, but
I've also heard if you stop using deodorant, eventually your body gets to where you don't stink as bad, or without it, because your body, it's almost like when you use it, your body's trying to get rid of
compensate
it. Maybe
for something.
Yeah, I met this dude one time. It was funny. He actually was dating my wife's cousin, who's a doctor in California, and she ended up marrying him. He's like a Rothschild or something, super super wealthy family.
Okay,
and he came to our house and he didn't use soap, shampoo, nothing. I'm like, this dude is weird, like surfer bro, you know, like just thought he was so weird. And it was like, I thought he was totally nuts. And then the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, that guy, like.
When did you start doing this?
Well, it's like been slowly, like over the years. I've been like, oh, maybe I should read what's in this stuff. So like then with food and then shampoo and then like I'm convinced like all this COVID stuff, health stuff, shampoo, anything we use daily is all designed to make profit somewhere else. So I think shampoo will make you lose hair, and then they have a fix for it. And then the fix for that keeps you on medications forever. And then
interesting
food, like
use toothpaste.
Yeah, I use toothpaste.
You do use toothpaste.
Yeah, I use toothpaste, but I like fluoride-free stuff.
Yeah.
That's another thing I was telling someone. I was just having this conversation today. They were saying that it was actually with a friend who's a dentist, and he said, well, fluoride rebuilds enamel. And I go, well, why does our enamel disappear? And he's like, well, because we chew our food. I go, it's because you chew fibrous food that God didn't design us to eat.
Right.
So we're eating foods that we're not designed to eat, which is why our teeth are going bad. Our teeth shouldn't go bad. God didn't make our teeth wrong. We're eating the wrong thing. So if you eat the right thing, so it was just like this whole, so rather than having to use fluoride to rebuild enamel that we are losing because we're eating foods, how about you eat good foods and then you don't have to worry about fluoride that's not good for you.
Gotcha.
So now when we're going down this rabbit hole, what are you doing about water?
So yeah, I'm nuts about water too.
Yeah, because fluoride, you can't drink it out of the tap.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I have like a whole house filtration system and stuff. Yeah. I won't drink. He knows I always bring my
kind of crazy.
flask.
He's my kind of crazy, man. He really is my kind of crazy.
He's next level.
I don't really say a whole lot, actually. Usually I just bring my water with me and just do my thing, But
I developed, so I wrestled in high school too, and I developed a rash over my whole body. I was allergic to nickel-cadmium that's in deodorant.
Yeah.
So I cannot wear any deodorant with nickel-cadmium in it anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's stuff that makes your armpits yellow, though, I think, is the nickel, I think.
Is that what it does? And it yellows
it's the aluminum. It's not the nickel, it's aluminum. I knew it was some metal.
Which causes Alzheimer's and all those other problems.
How crazy, man.
Yeah.
It is nuts, huh?
Oh
Which if you can stay alive, like because with Alzheimer's, if it's early onset and you catch it early, which they do a good job of, then you stay alive for a long time. But then there's a lot of medical bills you can rack up.
Right.
So I think it's all one and the same. They all try to.
Right.
It's crazy. It's all.
Wow.
Well, Matt, we're glad to have you here today.
Glad to be here, man.
So you pull up, you're in a wheelchair. We'll get to that. We'll talk about all that, I'm sure. Right? And get there. So I've looked at you a little bit just on social media. We've never met till today.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to have you on. But what Jeff and I have done is we've started this podcast called Solid. And the whole premise of it is to bring people on that we feel live solid lives or can help us live more solid lives. And so we do everything from faith, family, finance, fitness, friends.
Wow.
Kind of all the F's, Yeah. And we kind of hit all those. And so, we love having people on that have good families, that have great stories, that have overcome big challenges. So I'm I can only imagine where this is going to go today. And
sounds a little like me, man. Sounds like a little me.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about you, and just excited about this. So,
right on.
Yeah,
I am too.
Yeah, dude, I think it's gonna be great.
My wife says I need to be more candid and I need to be more vulnerable. So we'll see.
Okay.
You know?
Sounds like something all our wives probably tell us. Like, I wasn't built that way, you know? I don't have a whole lot to say.
Well, yeah, I'm married to my high school sweetheart. So
Really?
Yeah.
same girlfriend since I was 15.
Cool.
And I've put up with her that long. Yeah.
And you grew up in northern Utah.
Northern Utah, Taylorsville High.
Yep.
93, go Warriors.
Yep. Okay.
And then moved down here in 05.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell us about yourself, your story. Where should we go today? I know you've been on several of the local podcasts here, and I've heard a little bit of them. So, I mean, I want to hear it.
All right.
Hear everything. So, yeah.
So January 16th of 2006, I wake up. I'm an electrical contractor at the time, and I had started a division in southern Utah. My northern division, killing it. And so we came down here struggling for work because the Good Old Boy Network was a legit thing down here. And
Still is.
dude, right? And finally I'm in. You guys are the good old boys, so I thank you for letting me here today. So finally getting work down here, and things are going really good. But I'm traveling between St. George and Salt Lake all the time. And this particular morning, I'm bidding a job up at Cedar City Hospital. And I run out to my brand new Dodge truck. It's raining outside, jump in the cab. I'm late, hurry across town to grab one of my employees. And he's a 19-year-old punk kid. He jumps in the cab of my truck, and he shakes the rain off of himself, and he points right at me, "Put your seatbelt on," just like that. And I was like, really, man? I mean, really? So I was 30 years old. I'm like, look, Brett, his name's Brett. I'm in control, whatever that means. And don't tell me what to do. And we jumped on the highway, headed up towards Cedar City. Instantly, rain turns to snow. And for the second time, Brett's like, "Hey, Matt, look, you need to protect yourself. Put your seatbelt on." And this time I gave him all the reasons. You know, I'm 6'2", 215. I'd run the St. George Marathon in October. I was in the best shape of my life. I truly thought there's no way I can get hurt. Like, I'm too strong to get hurt. And I didn't like the fact that he told me for a second time what to do. So, I'm your boss. I'm 30. You're 19. Don't tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. So up the canyon we go. We get to New Harmony. I'm following a semi-truck. Semi-truck gets off the highway at New Harmony because he could not make out where the highway started and stopped. And that was my beacon, right? I was just following him. But I knew I was late. And so I decided to press on and go through these semi-truck tracks. And right then, for the third time, Brett's like, "Matt, please put your seatbelt on." And for the third time, I said no. So not a still small voice or a warm, funny feeling. Someone sitting right next to me, just, hey, protect yourself. Mm-hmm. And pride and arrogance got me.
Yeah.
And like, you guys are put together guys. So you're and I see you got the KT tape because you're getting a little older, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been giving him a hard time about that.
Right, but go back to our prime. We're not getting hurt, right?
Exactly.
Like, what's going to hurt us?
Yeah.
And that was my mentality at the time. And I'd gotten away with so many stupid acts, like riding my Harley down the highway, standing up on the seat, cliff jumping at Lake Powell without checking the depth. Like, gotten away with death so many times. I truly thought I was invincible. Mm-hmm. So for the third time, I said no. Lost control of my truck. It went down into the median, caught dirt, rolled 2.25 times, ended up on the passenger door, still running, and I couldn't see anything. Everything was black, and I was disoriented. I was confused, and I realized the reason why I couldn't see anything is my hips were covering my face. Yeah, my back had gone in the steering wheel, and I didn't snap in two like a pencil. So I suffered what they call a T12 compression burst. So you're right above your L spine, and everybody has L when they get older. Their lumbar spine hurts. Yeah. Well, the vertebrae right above my L spine, there was so much pressure that it grenaded in my back. Damn. And a piece of that bone went into my spinal cord, and at 30, lost everything.
Dang.
Everything. And the fear, everything was so scary. So scary. I was laying there in the truck. I reached up over my head and grabbed my knees and pulled them back down. Now my feet are on the floorboard. I'm laying on the passenger door, and Brett's buckled in right here. And I knew immediately. I was like, Brett, I'm paralyzed. And the weather was so bad that morning. There were slide-offs everywhere. And it took emergency crews 2 hours to drive down from Cedar to cut us out with the jaws of life, put me on a gurney, put me in a helicopter, and life flight me to LDS Hospital in Salt Lake. So I had the choice, either Salt Lake or Vegas, but I grew up in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, let's go to Salt Lake. So we'll get up there, and MRIs, CTs, X-rays, they find out a piece of bone is into my spinal cord. They got to go in for surgery. And I wake up in ICU. I'd gone through my first surgery. So I went through 2 surgeries. The first surgery, they opened me up and took out all the bone and shrapnel. And when they looked at my cord, they couldn't see any physical damage to my cord. It wasn't severed. It wasn't leaking spinal fluid, anything like that. Everything was intact.
Yeah. Lucky.
Lucky. Yeah. So I was bleeding so bad, like they had to sew me up. They did blood transfusions, all that. And then I had to go in for a second surgery. And my back right now at this moment is held together with 12 titanium screws and then 2 rods that run the full length of my spine, a plate and a basket. And what they did with this basket is they put this titanium basket around my spinal cord where that vertebrae was missing. Mm-hmm. Took out one of my ribs, put it inside that basket, screwed me all together, put me in a brace that went from my hips all the way up to just under my chin, and so that I couldn't move around and hurt that stuff. I remember waking up in ICU, and I was alone. It was dark. You had the red beeping lights and all this. And I looked down at I couldn't sit up. All I wanted to do was sit up. I hadn't sit up in 10 days. So I spent 10 days in ICU. And I looked at my right hand, and I had electrodes and tubes and all this stuff. And looked at my left hand, there's nothing. So the goal was reach down, grab my quad, pull my, and I couldn't feel the touch of my hand.
Dang.
And my leg was so cold and so rubbery. And so I just started crying and started thinking of a way to end this. I wasn't going to live a life of paralysis.
Yeah.
Like what? I didn't even know what I was anymore. So scared. So after 10 days, they moved me in my own hospital room. And growing up in Salt Lake, people from my elementary school all the way through Salt Lake Community College. My wife says 400 to 500 people had waited 10 days to come in and give me love and support, tell me everything's going to be good. But I just wanted this nightmare over.
So at this point, you're married. Do you have kids?
Yeah. So I married my high school sweetheart, Natalie.
How long had you been married for?
We had been married. Let's see, I got married when I knew everything at 19. And I was 30. So, yes, 11 years.
Okay.
11 years.
And how many kids did you have?
3.
Dang.
Yeah, and my oldest is 27. Now my little girl is 25. And then my youngest is 23. And at the time, they were 8, 10, and 12.
Okay. So they all totally knew what was going on.
Yeah. Oh.
Dang.
Oh. Well, the younger two... The younger two didn't really understand. They knew Dad got in an accident and something really bad because they had to come from St. George to Salt Lake because Dad was going to be up there for months.
Yeah.
But my oldest, he knew what was up. And, the doctor came out and in front of all these people, stood up on a chair. And now I wasn't there for this, but this is how my wife explains it. Stood up on a chair. Hey, can I have everybody's attention? This is what's happened to Matt. He's not going to walk again. He's a T12. So 2 inches above my belly button. He's a T12 complete spinal cord injury. And it was very emotional for everybody. And so anyway, that following morning, as people would come into my room to wish me well and give me love and all that, I wouldn't open my eyes for anybody. And these are people I've known my whole life. I wouldn't talk to anybody.
Was that because you felt ashamed? Was it because you felt like, I mean, what was the reason? Because you could, right?
Right. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, I knew I was paralyzed.
Yeah.
And I had always been this beacon, at least the way I viewed it.
Yeah.
This beacon of strength and could endure and anything's possible with Matt. Like when shit hit the fan, you turn to me.
Yeah.
Not to be, that's who I was. That was my identity.
You're willing to take the pressure and put the load on your back. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So that's who I was, and I wasn't that guy anymore. But the reason why I couldn't sit up in ICU is that I no longer knew how to. So as I tried to sit up, my abs were gone, my hamstring, everything was gone. And, so I'm thinking in my mind, okay, these people think I'm something I'm not anymore. They're in love or they support this thing that I'm not anymore. What am I? Am I a husband? Am I a father? What am I anymore? Am I a business owner? Like, what's going to happen? All the things, man, all the things and all the doubts. And
you're thinking I'm going from an asset to a liability, probably.
Oh, you hit it on the head.
Yeah.
And I felt like a liability to everybody. Man, couldn't get my socks on by myself. Couldn't roll out. Couldn't sit up. Couldn't go to the bathroom. Couldn't shower. I was a liability. And I wasn't the guy that ever asked for help. I was the guy that you asked for help from. And I didn't know how to ask for help. I thought it was a sign of weakness. Maybe not shameful, but I was so proud of the fact, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that. Yeah, I'm there for you. I'll do that.
How was your relationship with God during these moments, like before and during like this time?
Ooh, great question. Nobody's ever asked me that. So I call it drinking the Kool-Aid. I was drinking the Kool-Aid, man. Me and God, boom. And JC, just everywhere I went, I would acknowledge if I saw something beautiful, if whatever throughout the day, if I'd slipped off to my ladder, wiring a house or a building, just real quick, say a prayer, hey, thanks. Like really conversations with God all day, not, hey, pray in the morning and pray at night type thing. Like really good, really good relationship. Then this happens and I'm praying to, hey, help me get out of this. Not cure me. No, don't I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Now thinking about it, I didn't want to fail, and I didn't want to fail in front of everybody, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I didn't want to fail.
Yeah.
So afraid of what other people would think. And now looking, my struggles brought so much to so many people.
Yeah. And
asking for help. Oh, my lands, man. So I have a picture of Christ. So if this is my bed, as I swing my legs over, picture of Christ is right here where this buck's at. And every morning, man, just bawling.
Yeah.
You do not know what I'm going through. There's no way. There's no way you know what this feels like. My identity had been stripped from me. I died.
Yeah.
That guy before January 16th had died, and I didn't know how to deal with that.
Right.
And how I was going to create a new or even sustain the life that I'd provided. My wife didn't work because I'm the money earner, and I'm the guy that does the cars in the yard, and she rears the kids and all that kind of stuff. And now my wife had to go back to work, which it was hard. Mentally, it was rough because I wasn't a man anymore.
Yeah. In your eyes.
In my eyes.
Yeah.
And so I got really angry at God and decided I was going to manipulate God and corner him. There's a scripture in DNC 10:5, and I don't even know why I'm going here, but I, the Lord, am bound when you do as I say. When you do not what I say, you have no promise. Bro.
It's crazy. Wow. That's on your phone, huh?
Right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's supposed to happen.
So
amazing.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to corner this guy. I'm going to corner God.
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything I'm supposed to do. And when I do all that, I'm going to say, bro, you said it right here. So I thought no more nobler thing to corner God with than with the baptism of your daughter, right? So, and I'm LDS at the time. I was LDS. And so we went to therapy on learning how to walk into the font and baptize and be strong enough to stand long enough Now she was, when I got hurt, she was 8. Yeah. And we wanted to get that done. Actually, I didn't do that with her, but my youngest son. Anyway, and on the baptism day, my therapist had forgot weights. Okay. So that we would put around my ankles and, so to keep my feet down to the ground, because with my shoes on, they might just pop up.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I forgot the weights. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And the room's full of people. And so as we struggled into the font, I went down, and his name's Scott Gillespie, and I love this man to my core. And Scott grabs me and pulls me back up, and we struggle over to this called a Hemi walker. And I was able to do the thing, and they close the curtains, and I go down again. And I'm pissed because it didn't go off the way we had spent a year of this thing going off, and it didn't go off that way. Not knowing that in everyone watching, that struggle was really powerful. Because at that point, it was still all about me.
Yeah.
It was all about me. It was all about me, man. And so I'm doing the thing. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm living life the way the scriptures say. And I'm calling in the ticket, man. I'm calling in the ticket. And as I do, I receive more, but not the way I wanted it. And how often, for me anyway, I'm painting my picture, or I see the picture this way. And as I'm painting it, it's just so different. It's same concepts, but so different. And so I started to resent God, and just anything I could do to get away from that. And ended up, my wife ended up leaving the religion. I kept me and my kids in it for a minute, and then another thing happened in our family, and it's man, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We get in the way of everything.
Yep.
And muck it up, and then
So did your wife, going through this, was she, I mean, I'm sure she was struggling just as much mentally probably as you were, because a lot of times our wives, I feel like, what's the word I'm looking for? Bounce our emotions back to us, mirror them, right? Especially if we have a great relationship. It's like when we're struggling, so are they. We sometimes don't see it because of our ego and pride. But I feel like a lot of times our spouses, if we have a great relationship, they're mirroring our emotions. Was that kind of happening with her?
So this is what happened with my wife. I was so prideful, arrogant, whatever you want to call it, that she had prayed for quite a while. Hey, will we just humble him?
Yeah.
And here's the son of a bitch right here, man. I want him to need me. I want him to want me. Yeah. He doesn't need me for anything. He does everything. My wife feels this way, and I don't know my wife feels this way because we, at that point, didn't know how to communicate.
Okay.
So,
so still 11 years in marriage.
So now she's praying every day. Yeah. Now the accident happens, and she feels guilt like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
Like, oh my hell, my prayers have been answered. My husband's paralyzed. Does he need me now? Oh yeah, he can't do a thing without me.
Just as you're talking about this, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth or anything, but I'm watching this. I don't think it's very uncommon to have this happen in a marriage with guys like us that are
in
leaders,
any situation, which is why I asked this. I think it's probably a common challenge with
we want to be
struggle.
Independent. We don't want to have to ask for help. We are living the scriptures, or we think we're living the scriptures, right? Our hearts, we think our hearts are there, but they're obviously not there, right? And it's all to become like Christ. I mean, it's a whole becoming thing that I'm 44 and I'm still trying to understand it, right?
Yeah.
And I just, so I think this is just so powerful. I also think that God wants us close to him, and he will allow whatever needs to happen if necessary to get us to come back to him if we are. Again, we think we're on the right. I'm not saying you weren't on the right, but I just don't. I think in my own personal experience, I get to where I think I'm on the right track, and I'm prideful and I'm arrogant,
right?
And pretty soon I figure out pretty quickly, nope, I'm not, and something happens, and okay, I got to get back on track, and that's because he wants me close. He wants us close. He loves us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost think Yeah, I know you and I kind of have different perspectives on that, where I don't think that as we're going through these challenges in life or struggles in life that God is even allowing. I mean, we're doing it to ourselves a lot of times, our ego and our pride, and feeling like we have to do these things to get closer to God. It's like I always try to remember, like, no matter what my kids do, it doesn't matter what happens. They're never further away from me emotionally.
No, that's not what I mean at all.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying. So it's like I feel like they can do wrong, and they do. Some just like I did when I was a kid.
And you allow them to do wrong sometimes, right? That's how we learn.
Needs to happen.
Yeah, but until it's almost like my feelings never change. But then once in a while, my kids will come to me and like, "Oh, I messed up. I'm sorry. I love you."
With a broken heart and contrite spirit.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of people that struggle with challenges, pride, ego, especially men, that
alphas for sure. The three of us for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
When we end up in these situations, it's almost like we and that's the reason I asked about your relationship with God, is I feel like I know there's a lot of men listening to this right now that have gone through some challenges, and maybe they don't realize that they have to wait to get to this place where humility is a must instead of an option, right? We can humble ourselves and be humble enough to know that, hey, a community around us, people willing to help us, brothers around us, friends around us, these people can help us. We don't have to wait to get to these times of desperation to ask,
I hope they heard what you just said.
Yeah.
So I'm paralyzed. I'm in a wheelchair. You came around and caught me.
Yeah.
I didn't get the door. Can't remember the last time I got a door for myself, or the cheese at the supermarket, for real.
Yeah.
Because it's a little out of my reach, and customers and the staff know it. So I've never struggled with paralysis by myself.
Yeah.
Ever. But I don't know what you're going through.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you're going through.
Right.
And both of you are going through something.
Yeah, sure. Everyone is, yeah.
But you might look at my wheelchair and think, oh, Matt's, and I think a lot of people do think that, oh, Matt's got a hard life. I'm not going to burden him with my simple stuff. Mm-hmm. Garbage, man. That's garbage. Paralysis, best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
I hate it, but I wouldn't change it either.
Yeah.
If God comes to that door and says, hey, Matt, look, I'll give you back your body. I'll give you, and it's not even going to cost you anything. I won't even take the relationships, anything. You've been through enough. Yeah. The answer is no. Mm-hmm. I don't even have to think about that.
So question, do you think that's because this is your new identity?
Yes. Yeah. And I am not mourning this cat.
Yeah.
This guy's a badass that has done hard things and will continue to do hard things and has got rid of the negative criticizing people, negative criticizing thoughts. Affirmations are huge in my life. Prayer is huge. Anyway, so I am not mourning this cat. I don't want to.
Yeah.
So to get my body back and be able to run marathons and things like that.
Yeah.
I'll do it from a chair, man.
Yeah.
I'll be a badass from a chair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just wonder how many men, especially alpha men, suffer in silence.
Yeah. Most. I
Sure.
would say most. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, take us through that point where, okay, now, you're in this new life. Who am I now? What's the process? How long did it take to get back to where you felt like I'm a good man? I'm not a good. I'm a man again, right?
I'm a man.
I mean, that's what a emotional tragedy.
What's crazy is this is just part one of the story.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
From us talking on the phone.
That's right.
That's crazy,
bro. We're going to need more than an hour for here. We might have that too.
That's
all right.
So I'm laying there as people come in and out, and at the end of visiting hours, 8:30, everybody's gone except one person, my dad. And I wouldn't open my eyes or talk to my dad. And he pulls a chair over the side of my bed, and he says, Matt, man, this is paralysis, man. You could give up. You could quit. Matt, we can all quit. But do you have it in you to dig in, dig deep, and get it done? Dig in, dig deep, get it done. And my dad leaves his room. And now this is my coach. This is my dad.
Yeah.
And
where do you fit in your siblings?
I'm the second son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the second son, and the biggest, the strong. Because I wanted to be that. I always wanted to be what I had achieved. And not knowing he's a pretty weak individual, man. Think about it, he might have been physically tough, but pretty weak individual when thinking you got to do everything by yourself. So now I'm struggling with my dad's words all night long, and I'm pissed. Dig in. You don't know how heavy my legs feel. I'm having this conversation in my head with my dad. Dig deep. Life in a wheelchair, get it done. What are you going to get done? What are you going to get done? And I say, you know what? I'm going to walk again. That's what I'm going to do. I'm Matt Blanchard. Paralysis ain't got nothing on me.
Yeah.
So the following morning, my occupational therapist bounces into the room, 6:30. Hey, what do you want to do today, Matt? And I looked right at him like, Casey, I want to walk. And he's like, cool. All right, we'll walk. And I just been told, hey, wait a minute. You're not going to do this ever again. It's impossible. And I'm like, this is my guy. He's like, but first I want you to get your socks on. And I laughed. I literally chuckled. I'm like, my socks on? So I get my socks on. We'll walk. He's like, you bet. So he throws me a pair of socks, and I'm laying in my hospital bed with that brace on. Still can't sit up. I haven't learned how to do that yet, or roll over.
I feel like putting socks on is harder than walking.
And I certainly didn't know how to put my dang socks on.
I'm just saying right now, I feel like that's a harder challenge.
Got to bend over, got to stretch.
Yeah,
well, here's
come
the
on,
thing.
man. That's
Especially if you have wet feet.
Yeah.
40 minutes goes by, no socks, sweaty, exhausted, cussing.
Yeah,
right? Because that's what helps when you get frustrated.
Right.
And Casey comes into the room. Matt, thought you wanted to walk. He knows how to push buttons.
Yeah.
And no socks. Do you need help? Do you want help getting your socks on so we can go walk? I'm like, Casey, I don't need freaking help getting my socks on. I mean, who needs help getting their socks on?
Yeah.
And we all need help getting our socks on.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is like, Napoleon Hill always talks about the number one key to success in anything in life is having a definiteness of purpose. And yours was walking at this moment.
Yeah.
But as soon as you make that decision, it's like there's so many challenges in between, right? Yours step one, putting on your socks, for anybody. And I think that's most people. It doesn't matter what it is, having a good marriage, being a great father, being successful financially, having a great spiritual life.
All the socks.
Yeah.
All the socks.
Once you choose that, then you've got all these challenges in between. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
And as you go through those challenges, as you go through hell, you're forged into the weapon or the tool that God intended you to be.
Yeah.
And so if you're in hell right now, don't stop there, man.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
It gets better. I promise it gets better. So I tell him I don't need help getting my socks on. He leaves. He throws me a lasso. And so I tried the next 20 minutes trying to lasso a foot that I couldn't see. Finally rope my left foot, pull it up to me, start having a conversation with it, right? Like, come on, dude, let's get on my team. We're going to walk. We just need socks.
Yeah.
Throw it down at the end of the bed and deep breath, say a prayer. God listens even if you cuss, right?
Yeah.
So put that sock on, throw it back down at the end of the bed, and I have an outline on my bed of sweat because it was an hour and 10 minutes to get 2 socks on.
Yeah.
First time ever getting socks on. No help. No one needs help. Casey comes in the room applauding, hey, you got your socks on, bro. Let's go. Let's go walk. I was like, really, dude?
I'm worn out now.
Yeah, I just got my socks on. That was everything I had.
Dang,
That's
man.
everything I had.
Yeah.
So this goes on and on and on. And finally, he shows up one day, 3 months later. I got my socks on when he shows up. I got my pants on when he shows up. I'm ready to walk.
Yeah.
He's got my doctor with him. My doctor says, Mr. Blanchard, I understand you want to walk. And I'm like, no, you got it wrong. I'm going to walk. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you have suffered a very severe spinal cord injury. And I've treated thousands of spinal cord injuries just like yours. T12 completes don't walk. Become independent in your wheelchair. And he left. Like, most. Now it's Casey and I. And I'm like, I'm 30 years old, and this guy's telling me I'm not going to walk again. So he's labeled me, and we've all been labeled something. And if you choose to wear the label that you've been given by somebody else, that's on you.
Yeah, it's your own fault. Yep.
I was a T12 complete that was going to walk. It was impossible. I was told it was impossible. That's exactly what I needed to hear, that was impossible. Because anybody who'd ever tried to climb Mount Everest died, right?
Yeah.
Like you tell me, dude, everybody who's ever tried has died until it's done. And now thousands have summited Mount Everest.
Right.
Yep.
The 5-minute mile, impossible until it's not.
Yeah.
Everything in life is impossible until it's not.
Sure.
And then so many other people are like, oh, I can do that. I just wanted to be that person.
Yep.
So now I've got this new goal. I've got this focus. I'm laser focused on walking. And I come back home to St. George, keep pushing my body hard. It's broken. I'm doing impossible things. And I regain the ability to walk with forearm crutches. And with one single point cane in my left hand, I could walk 40 yards. But through that took 7 years of therapy every single day.
Wow.
No days off.
No days off, man.
Yeah.
I'm cuckoo like that. I really am. When I'm all in, I'm all in.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So regain the ability to walk, but with that came pain. And I've got all those rods, those screws, all that stuff. So I became addicted to pain medication. And so badly that it was my every thought. Like I couldn't leave the house without knowing, okay, I got my pain medication with me. My last thing I did at night was pop my oxys and my Roxys.
The same doctors that told you couldn't walk again are the same ones prescribing you pain.
Okay, so I got sent home from LDS with that guy. I came home here to.
I just mean the system.
Yeah. Oh, bro,
That's
system.
what's crazy to me. It's like
and ignorance.
I don't know,
I would say ignorance on the physicians.
Yeah.
Because like my doctor is Dr. Stephen Clark here in town.
And maybe not even intentionally, right?
Correct.
It's not intentional.
They're trying to take care of their patient
Yeah.
and get them like, look what he's doing. He's doing things that shouldn't. And he's doing it.
Yeah.
Of course it hurts.
Yeah.
You know? And I got to the point where I was walking, but I wasn't walking the way I wanted to walk.
Yeah.
And so I started checking out with my oxys. And I just did not. I started treating emotional pain.
So you're trying to numb reality at this point versus numbing the pain in your body, which you had probably gotten used to at that point.
Yep.
Now you're trying to numb the fact that you had to face your progress.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy.
Oh.
And I think that's where most addiction comes. I think we're all addicts at something, right? But most, substance addictions.
Yeah.
This is where it starts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's numbing some sort of emotional pain from some sort of facing reality.
And I had no intention of becoming an addict.
Yeah. No one does. Yeah.
Like nobody raised it. Hey, I want to do that. I want whatever that thing is to control my every thought of every single day. And then the anxiety of being short because you're taking too many because you wanted to check out and like, how am I going to get more?
Yeah.
It is a nightmare, man. It's a nightmare. And I was on so much medication. So 390 milligrams a day of opiates.
Dang.
And my regimen, I would take them in the morning.
Kill either of us if we did
Oh,
that
it'd kill me, right? You know, it'd kill anybody that comes right into it.
Yeah.
Oh, my land. Yeah, you'd be dust. No question.
It's crazy.
So I'd take my meds in the morning, go to therapy. Right after therapy, take my meds again. And then at night before I went to bed.